from the Princess Margaret Hospital in honor of World Cancer Day, where the world comes together to unite in the fight against cancer using the hashtag #NoHairSelfie campaign. Now, joining us now are two fabulous guys, Jorn Weisbrodt and Rufus Wainwright. Now, Jorn helped establish Toronto's Luminato Festival as a landmark international event and has obviously a reputation around the world for collaborating on projects with some of the most prestigious arts organizations around the globe, including the Lincoln Center Festival, the Bolshoi Theater. Now, he is going to be shaving his head in honor of his husband, Rufus Wainwright's late mother-in-law, legendary Canadian folk singer Kate McGarrigle, who, of course, as Canadians, we all know and love.
Yes.
Although I first heard Kate and Anna when I was living in Australia.
Wow, yeah, no, they did well.
Yeah, you think? They did well. Now, let me just get this straight. You, Rufus, are going to actually be wielding the clippers?
Apparently, I mean, I know that I'm definitely. Jorn just told me earlier, coming up here, that we have to braid his hair first. In several pieces. I'm not going to be doing that. I don't know how to braid hair, so I won't do that. But then I will presumably cut those braids off and then wield the clippers. I don't know if I'll be doing the final shave though. That's
you trust
I'm
him?
up for it. You know, I know how to.
You know, really, when I think about it, you have the shorter hair. You should be the one shaving. If I had locks like you. I'm not sure I would.
Well, you know, I'm also going to donate my hair for.
Are you?
For a wig? So maybe, but it's actually for wigs for kids with cancer. Mm-hmm. So you can't really option on.
No, that's
amazing.
Yeah, you don't want a Rosemary's Baby wig. You're a kid.
So, Jorn, tell us about your connection, because you are shaving in honor of your late mother-in-law. So tell us about that and about that journey.
Well, Kate, she passed away from a very rare form of sarcoma, and sarcoma in itself is a very rare form of cancer, and there wasn't really a lot of research actually for the type of cancer that she had. There was really no sort of official cure. I mean, there's no cure, obviously, but there wasn't really any official treatment, so they sort of just tried certain things, and she actually had another sort of, after her diagnosis, she had another 3 wonderful years, but then she passed away about 5 years ago, around this time, actually. It's her birthday coming up on the 6th.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know, I was actually approached by Gary Slate and by David Ben, who was just on your show earlier, to participate in this. And I think actually with Gary it was also a little bit, Gary never really liked my long hair. So I think it's sort of also a little bit of a way of getting back at me, or, you know, making me sort of cut it off. So,
and I will say that he at a certain point was not liking his hair. It was getting a little too long. And so he thought it was a good way to kill, you know, 2 birds with 1 stone, just cut it off. But now he's kind of fallen in love with it all over again.
But you must have had, you know, people always make jokes about mothers-in-law, but you must have had a very special relationship if it meant so much to you.
It was, you know, I met Rufus, we've been together for over 10 years, and it was always, when I met him, it was always clear to me that his mother was number one in his love life, or in his emotional life, let's call it that. Emotional life, you know. But I always knew that I would take him home and sleep with him, you know, for the night. So that was sort of my, you know, that was what I knew. And I think that was what brought Kate and us together, too, you know, that I accepted her. And she was an incredibly...
You accepted her supremacy.
Yes, exactly. She was an incredible... Even though I'm German. She was an incredibly... You know, she was an incredibly wonderful woman.
But obviously, there must have been more. I mean, you're joking, but there must have been a really strong emotional connection between the two.
Yeah, my mom was a very intense, intelligent, and, you know, unpredictable woman in many ways. And I wouldn't say that, you know, when I came out, I was very young. I was about 13, 14. And it was at a really bad time. It was in the late 80s, so AIDS was rampant. and my mom was scared to death at that period. So my homosexuality and her took time for her to really adjust to that. She did eventually.
It took her to meet me, basically.
But really, when she met Jorn and she kind of, they got together, she really understood that I was going to be okay. And I don't know, it was sort of the end of that circle, of her coming to terms with certain things about me. And Jorn was really the catalyst, I guess, for that acceptance.
I remember on her deathbed, I think it was like the day before she passed away, and she passed away in her home, which was beautiful, sort of amongst, family members, and we sort of actually all started singing, and, I think that was, it wasn't sort of the most beautiful singing, obviously, in that very emotional moment. But the day before, I went to her room, and I was alone with her, and I told her that she needn't worry. And she couldn't really speak anymore at that point. She had sort of, a few hours earlier, sort of probably said her last words. But I said to her, I think you're going to be, I'm going to take care of your son. You don't need to worry about him.
I was kind of her husband, actually.
And she sort of just groaned, She was like, and I took it as, sort of her saying thank you, or, she might have also said, like, off, but I think she did.
It's okay, we're a clean channel.
Okay.
Okay, it's gone, that's gone.
But, I get that. As a mother, what your mother went through. I mean, you want to be protective, and it's sort of any obstacles that come up, you want to shield your children. You can't help it. And when she met you, she probably saw that was the match made in heaven, and
let me
she
tell
didn't
you
have to worry anymore.
Yeah, and there were plenty of guys and boys before, that she chased out of the house with the broomstick, and so...
Not with my son over my dead body. And it was a good thing. Look.
Yeah.
Before we go, what do you want, having gone through this journey, Rufus, being with your mother at the end and supporting her throughout a difficult time, what is it that you want people to know about the experience? Can you give them something to take away on how to cope?
Well, I don't know why this is happening, but what's shooting up into my head at this moment, and I'll just go with that, is that, even if, and this is probably as important, well, more important for the family and friends of the victim, is that, when someone does pass away from cancer, they are triumphant. It's I mean, I would always get so, certain people like, I'm a cancer survivor, therefore it means I won, and then for certain people who don't survive, they have to be, I don't know, given that respect too of having won in a lot of ways.
Fighting that,
and that just equating those distinctions is important to me for some reason.
Were you always able to talk to your mother up until the end?
She didn't want to talk about it so much, and I understand that. What's the most beautiful part of the experience was that all of the small things in life became so precious, whether it was rubbing her feet or just watching a funny program or, having a good meal. Like, those things became so incredibly profound and deep, and I developed so much more of an appreciation just for every day and what it has to offer.
And also, you came full circle. She was so protective of you, and in the end, the two of you were so protective of her. So she probably went peacefully.
She did. I think it's also, for me, it was very much also this feeling of gratefulness, of having met a person like that and still, being able to be grateful for the kind of life that you've had with that person and the moments that you shared. I think that is a very important thing. It's hard, in death to sort of be grateful, but I thought that was, for me, a very powerful experience.
And what was the legacy she left you through this fight that she...
Well, I mean, certainly her music.
Well,
is,
no. But
I mean, through the fight is she left, she was just so brave. And definitely a kind of, just something else kicks in for I think every human, when you're faced with these insurmountable odds, there's this depth that occurs, which is fantastic.
And her desire to enjoy life still, after her diagnosis. I mean, she really started enjoying life the fullest. I
Well-
mean, she had before already.
I bet she's going to enjoy this. Now, before we go, Rufus, I noticed that you are actually getting out of town fairly soon. Aren't you, maybe because you don't want to go through any kind of regrowth trauma here with your friend? You're going on tour?
Yeah, well, they're doing my opera in Buenos Aires.
Wow.
Prima Donna, they're doing that there, and also in Hong Kong. So I have to go to that, and then, I have work to do.
That is good. That is good. And you're also going to be touring throughout the spring and summer in Canada, Winnipeg, maybe?
Yeah, no, I'm doing
Winnipeg?
shows with the Winnipeg Symphony.
Excellent.
Yes, and also in France and so forth. So yeah, no, I work a lot.
And how about you, Jorn?
Well, he's going to be back for the Luminato Festival, which
Yes.
is my final festival, which is from the 10th through the 26th of June, and we're doing all the ticketed programming in, I think, the most
Why is it
spectacular
your
venue.
final festival? Hang on, you had
Because
news there.
No. This is really old news. I've been here for 5 years, and it's been an incredible time. But I feel it's time to move on. And we're going to do the festival at the Hearn Generating Station, which is this decommissioned power plant on Cherry Beach, sort of in the Portlands, and it's 3 times the size of the Tate Modern. You could put the entire Coliseum in it. It's the largest enclosed structure in Canada, and we're building a theater in there and music stage and restaurants. It's going to be the largest multi-arts cultural center in the world,
Well,
temporarily.
we what she said, may just have to come and broadcast
Yes,
there.
I think so. Yes, we have.
We might just have to
we
do that.
have enough space.
Do we?
That's
Do
for
we?
sure.
Okay.
We can accommodate you. This
And
is an
we'll
invitation.
check in and see what your hair looks like.
Yes.
Or doesn't.
Yeah.
Or doesn't. You might like to be bald and just
yes.
keep the goatee.
I will. I am going to keep the beard. I
Yeah.
didn't want to go too baldly into that good
You
night.
might quite like it, and you might develop a love for hats.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story
Thank
with
you.
us today.
Thank
and
you.
Good luck this afternoon. Click the channel subscribe button for full-length interviews and more from What She Said here on YouTube.